Hello again. I'm Lou Ann Fulmer here with Eric Heckman of Heckman Financial, where their mission is to get you to and through a worry less wealth retirement. When we're planning for retirement, so many of us focus on, just growing that nest egg, okay? But having a large sum of money does not automatically translate into reliable monthly income. So, Eric, one of the points you talk about very first in your blueprint to worry less wealth, your plan for retirees is the income, right? The income plan. Tell us, what is that all about?
Yeah, well, just picture you're trying to build that dream house and you're thinking about what the view will look like, what it looks like from the outside, right? And all that stuff. But first thing you got to do to make it real is have a plan, right? Get those drawings,
Yeah.
figure out where the studs go, the pipes, wires, all that fun stuff. And
Very important stuff. Yeah.
same thing with with retirement. Lots of times people just are focused on what's the hot stock or where should I put my money today. That's not income. That's points on the scoreboard. You need to actually have cash flow coming out. And the math is 100% different than when you're having the money grow. Those ups and downs in the market, those roller coaster ride moments, those didn't really matter to you because you didn't withdraw anything. But when you're withdrawing the money, those really matter because
Yeah.
if you're taking money out every month and there was 4 months that the market went down and 1 month it jumped right back up, well, guess what? You sold shares, at losses for 4 months, and then those shares that you sold, they didn't come back up. So you need to have a different way to spend. First and foremost, the biggest thing is figuring out how much do you actually spend, right? And
Right.
what's that real number? Because I find most people it's at least 20 to 40% more than they think that they spend.
40%.
And
Wow.
yeah,
Oh my
40%.
gosh.
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
I've had one couple that came in here and she thought they spent 6,000. He thought it was 12 and it was 13,500. I mean,
My goodness.
she was nowhere near,
Yeah.
and so, one
Who
of the
was the
things
big
is I like
spender, her or him?
well, her giving money to the adult
Oh,
kids was
there you
what we
go.
determined was one of the big problems, and that was more lumpy, so she didn't think of that as an
Yeah.
ongoing expense, but,
Right, right.
yeah, so I think the best way to do is I have a little tool, it's just the no BS budget. It's super
Mhm.
easy. You just take your last 12 months bank statements, add up all the withdrawals, and hopefully you're, taking that money out once a month to pay off that credit card, so you don't have to look at your credit card statement. So again, just add up all the withdrawals from your bank account, divide by 12. That's what you really spent. And, I pretty much almost guarantee you it's gonna be higher than you think.
Yeah,
And so
exactly.
so once you know that real number, then you can start saying, okay, how much do I have from guaranteed sources like in Social Security? And in case Social Security does get cut and Social Security does get trimmed back, which is very likely, then what happens there? Do you have any other guaranteed source of money, some minimum paychecks that are coming in for the rest of your life? So, that's the things that you can easily set up, and that's what we help a lot of people set up, at least some money coming in the door every single month for as long as you live, and that can't go away in those down markets. It's protected. It's so at least you don't have to worry about every up and down and figuring out what you should do this month or can't do this month. So
Right, yeah.
so that's one of the biggest things that people really want to be focused on is get that reality number, not
Mhm.
the number they think it is.
Yeah, I love that reality check, and the math is really pretty simple. I think we can all do that math, right? It's a matter of just
Yep.
looking at things and addition. So, talk about the steps that you would recommend people take when they're trying to assess whether their current retirement strategy is gonna provide enough reliable income.
Yeah, so I mean, we've got a great tool here that's our retirement income planner. It's really nice because it knows all the different types of money. So Social Security isn't state taxable, but it's 85% federally taxable, and Roth, of course, is tax free. If you have stock brokerage accounts, you get cost basis plus gain. So those all have different tax effects. So you need to know those as you pull that money out and count for that correctly. And then you also need to have some inflation factors. And then you also need to have a little bit of reality check, right? Are you building in a fun fund? Because when you're retired, you can go off and have more fun. So if you're looking at what you're spending while you're working, but you weren't having quite as much fun, right? Now you get more time to do fun stuff.
Yeah,
So you're going to probably spend more.
right.
Things like, lots of times people pay for their health care through their paycheck. Well, Once you retire, you're paying that, out of your own income. So is
Mhm.
that accounted for? So all those types of things. And, once we have that built into an income plan, then we can figure out what financial tool should we implement to make sure that money lasts. And so that's the correct way to do it. Most people are just picking tools and hoping it works versus having a
Right.
plan and then you figure out what tool you need. So again, that's one of the things we do here at Heckman Financial is try to educate people and try to get them that information that they need to know how to make smart decisions. One of the things you could do is if you want to set up a time, 15 to 30-minute phone call, just tell us what you're worried about, what kind of things you want to have help with. We can sit down with you and go over that. And then if it makes sense, we can even take you to that next blueprint meeting where there's no cost or fee. We'll tell you where you're headed right now. And then only at the end of that second meeting do you decide if you want to work with us or not. So again, there's a lot of great information, a lot of stuff that we can do for you. So all you got to do is super easy is, either call and then leave a message or text the word visit to 800-454-1184. Again, text the word visit 800-454-1184 or book directly online at wealthcreatorradio.com.
And we are so happy to have you along with us today. Thank you for joining us. This is Wealth Creator Radio with Eric Heckman of Heckman Financial. So, a lot of retirees, for some reason, think that their taxes are going to be lower in retirement. I feel like this is just some sort of little myth that's going around, floating around. Talk about how, the steps that current retirees or even pre retirees can take to protect themselves against taxes in retirement.
Yeah, well, taxes in retirement, that is the number one cost for people in retirement. Everybody says it's healthcare.
Right.
I don't know why.
I don't either. I
So,
guess I don't know. It's
I
big
mean, healthcare
expense,
can
I
be
guess.
expensive, yeah,
Yeah,
and
yeah.
especially if you end up needing nursing home, it could be,
Mhm.
10 to 12,000 a month easily,
Yeah,
but that's usually only for a couple years, and then
yeah.
you also have a ton of medical write-offs. So
Yeah,
your
that's true.
taxes aren't quite as big then. But
Yeah.
but for the most part, hopefully that doesn't happen to you. But you know,
Mhm.
but for pretty much everybody, taxes are going to be a huge hit, huge hit, and
Right.
taxes can't go down. To ignore the politicians, we owe too much money, and even
Yep.
if they try to have the federal government spend a little bit less, we are so far out of whack that the only way
Far.
to do it is have more income, not
Right.
spending less. So that having the government have more income is the only way to do that is via taxes. So they're
Smart.
not going down anytime soon. Yeah.
No.
So what we want to do is make sure we're at least paying the least you can. One really dumb thing I see a lot of people get advice on 100% incorrectly is, and lots of times it's because they ask the wrong question. So they'll ask their tax person, should I take money out of my retirement accounts or should I take it out of my, savings or my investment accounts? And they'll always say savings or investment, defer that tax, defer that tax, defer that tax, right?
Mhm.
And just keep pushing it out year after year. Well, when they moved the retirement age just from 70 and a half to 72, the government accounting office said that the government should make about 15% more money.
Are you
Now they
talking
moved it to
required
7
minimum distributions?
for the required minimum distributions.
Okay.
Yeah.
Oh, man.
Because that year and a half difference, people were going to have bigger balances, and
Right.
then they'd have to pay more tax. Well, then they turned around and 2 years later moved it to 73 to 75.
Yep.
So 73 if you're born before
Yep.
1960, and 1960 and after it's age 75. Well, again, the reason they did that was not to be nice. They do that because they're going to
Of
get
course
more
not.
tax money from you. So
Mhm.
if you go from 12 to 24% bracket, that's 100% increase. That's
Wow,
not a little
yeah.
increase. That's a huge,
That
and that's
is.
what I'm seeing a lot of people in their mid 70s on track to do. So you got to level out that tax throughout your life, not just go low and then skyrocket up, right?
Yeah.
And so that's what we're trying to protect people from. So, again, if you want to set up a time and really get some information, find out what you're, worried about, and we can see if we can help you. All you got to do is text the word visit to 800-454-1184. Again, text word visit 800-454-1184 or book directly online at wealthcreatorradio.com.
All right. Don't go away. We'll be right back. Eric has so much more to tell us about. This is Wealth Creator Radio.